Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Y'all, I need you to stop what you are doing right now and pay very close attention to what just happened in the NFC West because the Los Angeles Rams just pulled the most aggressive, most calculated, most straight-up disrespectful power move we have seen in the NFL in years. And the San Francisco 49ers, they just woke up and found out their worst nightmare is now living 2 hours down the freeway. I'm Dre. This is Dre Reports. And today we are getting into the Myles Garrett blockbuster, what it means for the 49ers, why San Francisco was never really in the race to begin with, and why despite everything the panic crowd is screaming, the Niners' answer might already be on the field at OTAs right now. Let's get into it. On Monday morning, NFL insiders broke the news simultaneously the Cleveland Browns had finalized a trade sending two-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams. And when I say blockbuster, I mean that in every single sense of it. The Rams sent Pro Bowl edge rusher Jared Verse, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 second-round pick, and a 2029 third-round pick to Cleveland in exchange for the best defensive player in football. Let that sink in for a second. The Rams gave up their next 3 years of meaningful draft capital and one of the most promising young defenders in the entire league, and they did it without blinking, without hesitating, without a single moment of, "Are we sure about this?" visible from the outside. That is not a team playing for next year. That is not a team building towards something. That is a team that looked at the Seattle Seahawks hoisting the Lombardi Trophy last February and said, never again. Dre's opinion? The Rams have the most fearless, most aggressive front office in professional football. Love them or hate them, Les Snead and Sean McVay do not come to play around, and this move proves it beyond any reasonable argument. Now, before we get into everything else, I want to address the 49ers fan base directly because the reaction online was exactly what you would expect. Panic, fury, frustration. Fans flooding social media saying Brock Purdy won't survive Week 1. Fans saying the window is already shut. Fans asking why San Francisco didn't make a move. And look, I understand that energy. I really do. This is your team, your investment, your passion, and you just watched a division rival land the best defensive player on the planet. But here is where Dre has to be completely honest with you, because that is what this channel is about. The 49ers were never going to win that trade war, not because they didn't want Garrett, not because Kyle Shanahan wasn't studying film on him, but because the Cleveland Browns had a very specific price, and San Francisco simply did not have the currency to pay it. The Browns wanted youth. They wanted a player still on a rookie deal, still under team control, still ascending someone who fits a rebuilding timeline. The Rams had Jared Verse, who is 25 years old, already a Defensive Rookie of the Year, already a Pro Bowler, and still on one of the most team-friendly contracts in the entire league. The 49ers had Nick Bosa, and before you even start typing in the comments, let me stop you right there. Bosa is arguably a better player than Verse right now. He is one of the best edge rushers on the planet when healthy, but Bosa is on his second contract. Bosa is coming off another ACL tear. Bosa does not carry the trade value of a 25-year-old with 3 more years of team control and a highlight reel that makes scouts drool. The market value gap between those two players, from Cleveland's perspective, is enormous. San Francisco simply had no card to play here. Full stop. And Dre's personal opinion? Anyone calling for the 49ers to have matched that offer, to have gone all in the way the Rams did, was either not paying close enough attention or just wanted to see the team burn its future for a headline moment. That is not how John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have built this organization over the last 8 years, and that is not how you sustain a legitimate contender in this league. The Rams are gambling everything. Again. And while I genuinely respect the aggression and the boldness of the move, I also remember very clearly what happened to the Green Bay Packers last year. They were anointed NFC favorites after trading for Micah Parsons. Everyone was crowning them before a single game was played. Parsons got hurt, the whole thing fell apart, and suddenly, all those eggs were sitting in a broken basket. The Rams have now placed every single egg in a Myles Garrett basket. That is their prerogative. That is their bet to make. But the 49ers do not have to follow that same dangerous playbook to stay competitive in this division. Now, let's talk about what San Francisco actually has. Because while the internet was completely losing its mind on Monday morning, there was a man at the 49ers OTA facility in Santa Clara who looked like he had already decided that none of this drama was going to rattle him one single bit. Trent Williams showed up to voluntary workouts looking fresh, looking explosive, looking like a man who absolutely does not care that the best pass rusher in football just moved into his neighborhood. He said it himself, new beginning, new start. And then he went right back to work. That is Trent Williams. That is a future Hall of Famer who turns 38 years old next month and is still moving like he is 28. And that, right there on the practice field in Santa Clara, is San Francisco's answer to everything the Rams just did. Let me be very clear about the context here, because I think the national conversation undersells this matchup completely. Myles Garrett set the NFL single-season sack record last year. He was generating pressures on virtually every snap, lining up all over the defensive front, making offensive linemen look like they had never played the position before. He is a terror. He is a problem. He is the kind of player who changes the entire structure of how you call a game offensively. But Trent Williams has been the best offensive tackle in football for years running, and these two have already been in the wars with each other. Beat reporters covering the 49 ERs have been very transparent about the fact that even in their previous matchups, Garrett has gotten the better of Williams at times. As one reporter put it straight up, every time Trent Williams has gone against Myles Garrett, it has never been easy, and that is the correct and honest analysis. But here is the thing: not easy is very different from impossible. And Trent Williams, competing hard against the best pass rusher alive, is still a massive competitive advantage that the overwhelming majority of NFC teams simply do not have on their roster. Now the Rams' defensive situation has to be fully understood in its entirety because it is genuinely historic. Garrett, alongside Byron Young, Kobe Turner, and Braden Fiske, gives Los Angeles arguably the most dangerous defensive front four that any team has assembled in the modern era of the NFL. That is 4 legitimate pass rushers who can all get home on any given play. That is a coordinator's nightmare. That is the kind of front that makes quarterbacks flinch before the snap even happens. And Dre's honest opinion? That defensive front is going to absolutely destroy teams in 2026. The question, the only real question, is whether the 49 ERs are one of those teams. And I genuinely believe that answer depends on what Kyle Shanahan does schematically and what happens with San Francisco's own personnel between now and September. Speaking of September, and this part genuinely hurt to say out loud, the 49 ERS have the absolute worst possible luck in the schedule draw, because they are set to face Garrett and the Rams in Week 1 on September 10th in Australia. No home crowd. No Levi's Stadium energy. International stage, maximum pressure against the most hyped, most loaded team in football. If there was ever a Week 1 atmosphere designed to test a team's mental toughness, this is it. San Francisco fans who are already nervous have every right to feel that way. But I want you to hear me when I say this. The 49 ERs have been in hostile, high-pressure environments before. And Kyle Shanahan is exactly the kind of offensive mastermind who has spent all offseason drawing up ways to neutralize this front. Zone runs away from Garrett. Brock Purdy's legendary quick release working against the pass rush timing. Tight ends and running backs chipping the edge before releasing into routes. Motions and misdirections that force Garrett to hesitate. This is what great offensive coordinators get paid to do, and Shanahan is one of the best who has ever done it. Now I want to zoom out and talk about the bigger strategic picture with the Rams, because there is a fascinating chess match developing that most of the mainstream coverage is not fully appreciating. Garrett signed a 4-year, $160 million extension last year. The Rams are locked into a massive, fully guaranteed commitment over the next 2 seasons. That is an enormous number sitting on the cap. And they have players all over their roster who are going to be coming up for new contracts, including Puka Nacua, who has been navigating a difficult offseason dealing with health issues and whose contract situation remains unresolved. Multiple analysts have connected the dots on the Ty Simpson selection at number 13. Overall, on the surface, it looked like a strange pick for a team with Matthew Stafford. But the reality is that by drafting Stafford's successor a year early, the Rams were able to package their 2027 first-rounder in the Garrett trade rather than needing it to address the quarterback position. That is layered, forward-thinking roster management. And Dre has to give credit where it is absolutely due. That is genuinely smart front office architecture. But it comes with enormous, enormous risk. The conversation nationally right now is that this will be the first team in NFL history to simultaneously roster the reigning league MVP and the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. And when you are carrying that distinction, the expectation is singular: a Super Bowl. Not an NFC championship appearance, not a 15-win regular season, a championship. Anything short of that will be treated as a catastrophic failure for this roster and this front office. That is a different kind of pressure than any team in this league is carrying right now. And here is the part that I think gets completely buried underneath all the excitement. The Rams' offense may not be as bulletproof as everyone is assuming. Stafford is 38 years old. Nakua has been dealing with injury and rehab concerns throughout the offseason. Davante Adams is no longer a young man, and that 13 personnel, 3 tight end package that caught the entire league completely off guard last season? Every defensive coordinator in the NFC has had a full offseason to diagram it, to scheme against it, to take away the things that made it so lethal. Defenses do not stay surprised forever. Dre's personal opinion? The Rams are going to face at least some degree of offensive regression in 2026. Maybe they stay top 10, maybe they stay top 5. But they are not going to light up scoreboards the exact same way they did last season because the element of surprise is gone, and age and injuries have a way of collecting their debts on schedule. If that offense slips even slightly, and Garrett's defense does not fully compensate for the production drop, you are looking at a team that is still dangerous, but nowhere near the untouchable juggernaut. The national media is already crowning them. As before, a single preseason snap has been played. Meanwhile, the 49ers have been doing real work, quiet work. The kind of work that does not generate ESPN alerts, but absolutely shows up in the win column come January. San Francisco has completely rebuilt their defensive line over the past 16 months. They brought in Osa Odigizua to anchor the interior. They added Mike Evans to give Brock Purdy one of the most complete and physical receiving options he has ever had. They brought Dre Greenlaw back, healthy and motivated. Fred Warner, when he is right, remains one of the 2 or 3 best linebackers in football. And Nick Bosa, when he comes back and comes back healthy, is a top 5 edge rusher who changes the entire dynamic of what Raheem Morris can do with that defense. The 49 ERs are not standing still. They are building deliberately, and they are building the right way. Dre's personal opinion? The gap between the 49 ERs and the Rams is real. I am not going to sit here and tell you it is not. Garrett is a generational talent, and the Rams went all in to get him. But San Francisco is not dead. They are not done. They are not going to burn their future chasing a reactionary move. And that discipline is precisely what has kept this franchise in the conversation year after year while other organizations self-destruct trying to keep up. And let us not forget the defending champion Seattle Seahawks are still right here too, a team with a top 5 defense, the best special teams unit in the league last year, and a quarterback in Sam Darnold who is only getting more comfortable and more dangerous in that system. The NFC West is 3 legitimate Super Bowl contenders fighting over 1 title. That is not a tragedy. That is the best possible version of professional football. So here is where Dre lands on all of this. The Rams are bold. The Rams are stacked. The Rams are the team everyone is circling on their calendar. But Trent Williams showed up to OTAs looking like a man with something to prove. And Kyle Shanahan is already building the game plan that will give San Francisco a chance to stun the world on an international stage in Week 1. 2 future Hall of Famers, 1 division, 0 mercy. And this NFC West race? It is going to be one for the history books. If you are locked in on this story the same way Dre is, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, can the 49ers actually compete with this Rams roster, or is the NFC West already decided? I want every take, every opinion, every argument. Subscribe to Dre Reports for no-filter NFL drama, the real analysis, and 0 corporate takes. We are just getting started, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next. Let's go.